Hey, look out. It's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
If you're watching Facebook Live or YouTube Live, on the screen, we have David Holsten. He's the president and CEO of Mission Aviation Fellowship. They've been around for what, 76 years now, David, I think.
That's
I
right.
read.
Yep.
Going to remote places and feeding folks, medical care, disaster response, you do it all. How cool is that, first of all, right off the bat? How cool. That's like Indiana Jones stuff you got going on there, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting if it's something that you've been a part of for a lot of your life. It can be actually start feeling, kind of normal, I guess. But it is a special way to get to use an airplane. That's for sure.
Love it. We're going to talk about a new documentary that's out. It's called The Ends of the Earth. In fact, the first airing was yesterday. There's another airing on the 21st. And let's talk about first MAF, Mission Aviation Fellowship, your part in it and what you guys do specifically.
Yeah, well, MAF was really born out of the conflict of World War II. There were some pilots who came out of the war effort who thought, wouldn't it be great if we could utilize our newfound skills to serve the kingdom? And at that time, there were a number of missionaries who were really trying to get into particularly remote parts of the world. And the aircraft came along really at just the right time to help them get to where they needed to go. In the decades since then, we have continued that work. We now serve alongside of over 500 different organizations, and we seek to help them again be successful in the ministry that they're doing by bringing whatever we can get inside of that airplane to take to where they minister, whether it's food supplies, building supplies, medicine, helping to deliver a newly translated Bible, providing medevac service. All of those things are ways that we get to utilize the airplane in this really unique calling. And I got to be a part of that. My family has been a part of MAF for about 21 years now. 17 of those we served overseas in the country of Indonesia. So this documentary is really near to my heart and features a lot of the places that we served when we were living overseas, and we're really excited about it.
Now, David, a quick little history about you. Did you always want to be a pilot growing up, or how did you get into flying?
Yeah, it was one of those things that goes back to my earliest memories. I wanted to be a pilot. My parents are were believers, and they helped to nurture that dream as well. And God just used a number of different things throughout my childhood and then into my teen years that ultimately directed me towards this sort of work. I had the privilege of going to Moody Bible Institute. They have a great aviation program that was purpose-built to train missionary pilots and mechanics. And so that's where I graduated from. And that training really equipped me to then go do the work that we've done with MAF.
Cool.
David Holsten, he's talking about Ends of the Earth. It's a documentary that is out. David, what are we going to see when we see the airing, which will be the 21st? So it's just a day or so away. What are folks going to see when they go to the theater and see it?
Well, you will see an authentic picture of the work of MAF. You're going to see the sort of terrain that we fly our aircraft through to get to the places we serve. You're going to see the sort of partners that we work with, both Western missionary as well as indigenous church leaders who are seeking to reach their own people. You're going to see the commitment of our staff who are willing to sacrifice a lot of things to do the work that we do. You're going to see the disruption that COVID brought to our ministry. And you're going to see the way that we had to navigate some tragedy actually in our ministry as well. And the Lord has just faithfully brought all of that together to tell a pretty compelling story. And so we want people to go there. We've got folks like David Platt speaking into it. We have Mark Jobe, the president of Moody Bible Institute, who are, they're sharing their thoughts about the Great Commission and missions in general. And we're praying that God uses it to really stir people's hearts to consider what their role needs to be in all of this.
Now, David, in the years that you've been working with MAF, I'm sure you've seen some beautiful places. I'm sure you've had some harrowing landings and takeoffs. Maybe tell us a story or two of what you've seen.
Yeah, well, I mean, now in this role that I'm in, it allows me to travel around the world and actually get to see a more global picture of what we do. And I love that. That's a great privilege to be able to do that. Yeah, I mean, we actually work hard to make the experience boring for the passenger. We don't want to come out of the airplane going, "Oh, that was terrifying." I had, this is kind of a simple story, but I think it reflects the essence of what we get to do. I remember once we were serving a missionary in the province of Papua, Indonesia, where we served. We couldn't get him into his location that he was wanting to go to because of some conflict in that area, and it wasn't safe for us to land our aircraft. So we could only take him to an airship that was about 10 miles away from his destination, which meant he had to travel that last 10 miles over land in a 4x4 over a really, really sketchy mountain road. And so I delivered him. He went in and did his ministry for a couple of weeks, and then I got to fly back in and pick him up. And I said, "Hey, how was that trip? How was the travel, over land?" And he just said, he looked pretty exhausted, and he said, "I couldn't sleep last night. I was just, it was the anticipation of what that trip was going to be like, driving right along the side of a cliff and the driver doing things impulsively. It was rather terrifying. And I'm just glad to be getting on the airplane now." And I thought, today, what we get to do sometimes is just help people to have a better night's sleep. They get to come to the airplane and go, "I'm well rested, I'm ready to go." So that's a gift. I've had babies that were born on the airplane. I had a child who died on the airplane, really tough. Got to be a part of delivering Bibles to a people group who, for the first time ever, had the complete translation of God's word in their language.
Wow.
This was the culmination of a 40-year-long effort to make that translation. And so, very, very special experience, sticks with you for your whole life.
Yeah.
David Holsten, he is the president and CEO of Mission Aviation Fellowship. There is a documentary out that you need to see. It's called The Ends of the Earth, or Ends of the Earth. And Dan's got the website there. You can find the theater near you. I think I read, a fleet of 123 planes. Are those props, jets, a combination of all the above? What are they, David?
Yeah, well, they're mostly, for those of you who are familiar with aircraft, it's probably 2/3 of those aircraft are what we call a turboprop, which is really, it's a jet engine with propeller on it. Mm-hmm. So we don't have any just pure jet aircraft like folks would be accustomed to when they're flying on the airlines. And then we have smaller aircraft, also prop, but would probably seat just between 4 or 6 people. Our largest aircraft seat about 10. So it's a different sort of aviation than what a lot of folks have experienced when they, jump on a Delta flight at Atlanta Hartsfield and go fly somewhere. It's a different sort of experience. But we have to use those sort of aircraft to be able to get in and out of the smaller airstrips that we serve.
Love it.
So what do you hope folks will walk away with after watching the movie, David?
Well, one of our biggest goals through all of this is we just wanted to showcase how the gospel changes people's lives, no matter where they live. We wanted that to be clearly seen in a compelling sort of way. And I think the documentary does a fantastic job of that. Again, God told the story through plans and events that we couldn't have foreseen. And so that is clearly shown, and we believe that that glorifies God. We also obviously wanted people to learn more about our organization. I'm surprised at times. I'll travel the country, I'll meet somebody who has been a believer for most of their life, grown up in the church, and they actually have no idea that we even exist and that this sort of work takes place. So we want people to be aware of that. We want them to grow in their understanding of that. And then finally, we're praying that God uses it to stir people's hearts, that they would watch it and it would disrupt something in them, that they would go, God has commanded all of us to do this. It's not just the missionaries who have to obey the Great Commission, but all of us need to consider what our role is going to be. For some of us, it's taken us to the ends of the earth. We go into a cross-cultural setting. Other people, they may watch it and go, you know what? I've thought about this for a long time, but I need to get up and walk across to the other side of the office and have a conversation with somebody. And that's what we're praying happens, that folks will watch this and go, I've got to be obedient to this. This isn't something that's optional for me.
That's so good. David Holsten, President and CEO of Mission Aviation Fellowship. Check out the documentary, and Dan's got the website there, endsoftheearthmovie.com. Great place to go to. And David, we would love to talk to you again, maybe at the end of the year, first of 2022, see what's going on for 2022, and also how the movie went and how maybe more folks can see it with a reviewing or reshowing. So again, that website is endsoftheearthmovie.com. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.